Hey guys! So June's filming a cooking video, which is why I'm in our bedroom today, and also why I don't have a tripod. I have to hold our camera the whole time. And actually, I have a mirror. Our camera is very large. That's about. It's a very big, heavy camera. It's a very heavy camera, and so holding it for an entire 20+ minute vlog is very difficult, and so I'm balancing out my energy usage by not supporting my body weight and only using my arm and holding this above my head and really hoping I do not drop it on my face, because that would be a miserable video for me, as amusing as it might be for you. So today I'm gonna film a video like this. We'll see how long I can go. I mean, I could set this on like a desk or something, but then I wouldn't have the light from the window, and then I would have weird shadows on my face. And I had coffee, a cup of coffee this morning, which is super effective on me because I stopped drinking it for a few months because it was becoming not as effective, and sometimes I need it if I get up really early and I have a lot of stuff to do. You know, it just gets you pumped and going for the day. So I stopped drinking it when I didn't need it, and I basically stopped drinking it for like 3 months, and then I had a cup today because I'm tired today, and now I'm super drugged up on caffeine. I guess technically it is a drug, so I'm drugged up on caffeine. So if I'm weird and shaky, that's why. TMI, but I have birth control that I've been using for like hormone issues since I was a teenager, and using birth control makes caffeine like 4 times as effective, or maybe twice as effective. It makes it much more effective than normal. So when I have coffee, especially after not drinking any caffeine for a few months, it's like overly effective, and it makes me all shaky and stuff. It was 1 cup of coffee. It wasn't that much either, and not like a giant American-sized cup, just a Japanese cup. Anyway, I was just talking with one of our friends about video games. Something June informed me about a few years ago was he, while learning English, would play some Japanese games and the international English versions of the games, and he found out that the international versions were significantly easier than the Japanese versions. And he told me that Japanese game developers tend to make games for the North American market easier than Japanese games because we are less patient and don't like it when we can't beat a game. We get very frustrated. And I agree. I've definitely had like my controller throwing moments growing up playing video games. So I can understand why they would do it, but at the same time I'm like, oh, how dare you? How dare you make it easier for us? I don't know if like Japanese people are just more patient, or if Japanese people who play video games are like more hardcore. Maybe they don't have as many just like casual gamers who don't put as much effort into it like we have in America. Although we have our like serious hardcore gamers in America too, and I know they would be able to beat the Japanese versions of games. So on one hand, it's like I appreciate that I understand why they do it, because I've definitely gotten really frustrated with games I couldn't beat. I think what he told me about, I know June played the international version of Final Fantasy X, so I don't know if they made that game easier. The friend I was talking to today said the most egregious, how do you pronounce that, example of this is Final Fantasy IV, where they had like an easy mode and a normal mode or something, and the Japanese version had the normal mode and did they have the easy mode too, or just the normal mode? And the English version was just easy mode. Which is, it's kind of funny if you think about it. But I didn't play Final Fantasy IV. I have it for the DS, but I never got around to playing it. But if it was a game like 10, or one of those super mainstream turn-based RPGs, like the JRPGs, I guess, the Japanese RPGs of like the early 2000s, I could definitely go for the harder version, because when I was a kid, it took me a while to beat them, but then I remember going back when I was about 20 in university and playing some of them again, like Final Fantasy X, and it was so easy. So I would appreciate it, honestly, if it was a little bit harder. But yeah, I had a long discussion today about video games, which was a lot of fun. I really, really miss playing video games. I was super into video games growing up. When I was a very young child, like under 5, I think, maybe under 5, and I was too young to play video games myself, I would watch my mom play the NES. She would play NES and play like Super Mario, the first one, and Tetris, and the Tetris version we had was the one where you could set the different levels and speeds, and if you beat it on like a certain difficulty level, then you would get a screen of a castle with Nintendo characters that would, like, pixelated Nintendo characters that would come out and dance to music. Actually, we have a video. On our main channel, I put together a home video, like a whole bunch of home videos, and there's one clip in there of the ending screen with me and maybe my brothers watching the end screen of Tetris, which my mom beat. And I've never been able to. And my dad would play first-person shooters on his computer back when computers were DOS, and so he would play like the original Doom. And then when I got old enough, I started playing the NES. I played that a lot, and then we moved on to all of the older systems. We skipped the Super Nintendo, although my cousins and my friends all had Super Nintendo. We went to N64, playing lots of GoldenEye and Donkey Kong and Ocarina of Time. Oh my god, that game was so amazing. You know, Majora's Mask, like those all super iconic, amusing games. And I played a lot of first-person shooters on the computer too, starting out with DOS. So there was Doom, and there was a game, I think it was called Heretic, which it was a lot of fun. So we played a lot of DOS games, and then later on we moved on to first-person shooters like Quake and Unreal, and those, and then that was the last first-person shooter I ended up playing. Because I think after that, I don't want to play World War II, anything. I don't like watching military movies, I don't like playing those games. So, and I mainly moved on to playing RPGs. And then I did play a bunch of horror games growing up, so Resident Evil. We didn't have Silent Hill and Leon, and I was just so in love with that game. I mean, going back now, looking at the graphics, I can't even tell what's a zombie and not, because it's too hard to tell the difference. It changes as you get older. And I remember just like, it was so epic to me. Spoiler alert, Resident Evil 2, if you haven't played it. This came out in the 90s, so I mean, I'm a huge anti-spoiler person, but it's old. It's old enough now. Like, once you got into the storyline and you found out, like, this company was, like, behind the manufacture of the virus, and you could go down into the secret laboratory, like, beneath the city, that was so cool to me. I don't know why, I was so infatuated with the setting of going down into the secret laboratory and, like, the virus mutating all these things down there. It was so cool. I love that game. I played it so much. And that was an absolute blast. But when I got older, I started having more issues with anxiety, and so I got really stressed out playing those games, and it started being more stressful than fun. So I kind of stopped playing those horror games, and I stopped watching horror movies, and like I said, I switched just to RPGs mostly. And then in university, I stopped playing them almost entirely because after like school and part-time jobs and work, and like especially like doing Air Force on top of all of that, I would just be so tired, and when I got home I didn't want to like move or think. So I would watch my brothers play video games, but then I would just sit and like browse the internet or something and relax and not really do much at all. And I love video games, I still love them, but I have the issue of getting addicted to video games very easily. Like, I have no ability, it's really hard for me to stop. if I get into a game, especially with an RPG that can take you 50 hours to beat, or, you know, if it's a really big game like Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, that you can just play over, like, hundreds of hours you can put into them, I wouldn't stop playing it. I would wake up really early in the morning and I would just want to go sit on it. I wouldn't want to take a break to go eat. I wouldn't take a break to like sleep. I would just be on it. Me and my brothers, we would go down to my dad's house when I was in high school, and then when I was in university, because my parents were divorced, and we went to my dad's house on the weekends, and he was the one that had the updated gaming systems, whereas my mom's house had like the older ones, like the NES and the Super Nintendo eventually, and the 64. And so we would play on the newer systems the entire weekend, and like we would wake up at 6 a.m. to try to get up and get on the system first before each other. So like, because there were 3 of us and we would have to share the systems, an Xbox and the PS between us, then, you know, Xbox 360 and PS2. And so whoever got it first in the morning, they would get to play it first. And we had to make rules so that we could like fairly share the systems without fighting. We had 2 TVs in the basement, and the 360 got the good TV and the PS2 got the small TV. And we would make rules like you could only have an hour at a time on the 360, and if you went over by an hour, then the next person after you, or if all 3 of us were sharing it, then the next 2 people, they also got to go over by that amount. We wouldn't kick you off immediately at the hour. We would let you get to the next save point, which was really frustrating for me when I started playing Star Ocean 5, I think. That was the only Star Ocean I played, but they didn't have frequent save points. I remember being in dungeons and having to play through for 2 hours before I could get to a single save point, and I was so angry. I refused to ever play another Star Ocean. I was like, this is ridiculous. Who can sit here for 2 hours and play before getting to a save point? You can't do that to people. So we had a whole set of rules. Like, we wrote down the rules, like big TV got priority for the Xbox 360 because that was the newer system that we had. The smaller TV had the PS2, and since by the time we got the 360 we didn't play the PS2 as much anymore, so there were no rules on how long you could be on the PS2 as long as no one else was trying to get on it as well, which didn't happen. We also had computers there, so my brothers played a lot of first-person shooters as well, so we would basically all just rotate in between the systems and the computers and play video games all weekend. And that was like my childhood growing up, and I played so much from like just everything, and I know how addicted I can get to playing video games, and that's one of the reasons I had to stop, kind of, and that's why I don't play video games very often anymore, because I really loved it. But when I got to university, I started feeling like I wasn't doing anything with my life, and I kind of have a thing about death. I'm a little fearful of death. I don't know what comes after it. I don't want to just disappear out of existence forever. That would suck a lot. So I don't want to waste my life. That's been kind of a fear of mine, and so I felt like I was wasting my life. Even though it was really fun to play video games or watch my brothers play them, I wanted to do something productive. And that's one of the big reasons I started doing YouTube. There are a lot of reasons I started doing YouTube, but that was one of them, because I didn't want to just not accomplish anything or like do anything productive. So I wanted to actually get something done, I guess, with my life, outside of just working. And so that's one of the reasons I kind of stopped playing video games, because if I get into one, it's really hard for me to stop. And if I do, even if I can turn off the system, I just think about it all the time. I just think about how much I want to play, which is like, it sounds like a really bad addiction. It kind of sounds like I'm really addicted to them. I guess I really think I did have a video game addiction. And so even now, if I start an RPG, then all I think about is I just want to go back and play it. I want to play it more. So it's hard for me to play them at all, and I really have to limit myself, because if I did, I don't think I would get much work done at all. Although with Final Fantasy 15 coming out and the new Zelda, like, I want to play them so bad, especially Zelda. I mean, I love Final Fantasy, but I was so disappointed with, like, 12 was really meh, and 13, I didn't beat it, I just stopped with it. I hated it so much. It was so linear. It ruined everything about, like, RPGs that I like, which I like the turn-based, so, like, once we got into 12, I didn't like that battle system because I didn't have to do anything. Once I got up to an enemy, I could put the controller down. I literally wouldn't have to do anything at all. And it was so boring and annoying, and the storyline for that was too political and kind of boring as well. So I wasn't super into 12. And then 13, it was just linear. I want the towns. I want to go be able to talk to people in the towns and do side quests and all these little missions and find all these secrets. And I know June said with 13, once you get to a certain point, you can explore more freely. But I got 15 hours into the game and it was still linear, and I was like, I'm done. This is so boring. I can't stand it. And so I stopped with that, and I became really disillusioned with the Final Fantasy series. But 15 looks like it could be okay. So this is, I'm giving Final Fantasy one last chance, although I will probably play Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. Even if I don't like 15, I'll probably play the remake of Final Fantasy VII. But this is my last chance for a new Final Fantasy. Otherwise, I'm just kind of done with it. But I've always loved Zelda. Every Zelda I've played, I've absolutely loved. Just, they never changed the basic foundation of the game, which is like, you can keep leveling up your different weapons, you can, you know, go find new glass jars and find all the hearts and stuff, and you know, all those secrets. Eventually you gain the ability to raft, eventually you gain the ability to like crush rocks and stuff. I love that. I love everything about Zelda, and so I'm super pumped about the new game, and I don't think I will be able to stop myself from getting the new system and playing it. Although I'm getting better with self-control, especially now that I have YouTube. I don't know how I've had the self-discipline to get out like videos regularly, because I can be quite a lazy person when it comes down to it, but I think just my motivation to not waste my life keeps me going. And so I think I will be able to, at this point, keep up with everything. Even if I get Zelda, I'll probably be thinking about it a lot when I'm trying to do other stuff, but I'll probably still be able to play that without like ruining the rest of my life. Oh man, but I miss video games, and like sometimes I wish I could just reset back to being able to play over and over again. There's so many cool things coming out that I want to play, and there's no time for it. And I don't want to get older and not be able to play video games. Like, what kind of games are they going to have 50 years from now? I don't want to die. I just want to play all of this stuff forever. I wish I could be immortal and just keep playing until I'm tired of life, which I don't know. I don't know if that would ever happen. So it makes me, I'm so excited for future things all the time. I've always loved technology, but it makes me very sad to think that eventually I'll get to a point where I won't be able to take advantage of the new technology that comes out, and I'll miss all of the things that happen after I end up dying. So depressing conversation for Rachel. Sorry. I listen to a lot of John Green and Hank Green. I watch them a lot. They were the first vloggers I ever watched. They're a huge inspiration to me, and I always wanted to be informational like them, but I'll never be as interesting or as likable as they are, I don't think. But I know John Green, especially on his podcast with Hank, he talks so much about like, don't you think about like death every day? And Hank's like, no. And John Green's like, really? And I was like, I got you, John Green, I totally understand. Side topic, I don't talk about religion very often just because I don't care what religion other people are. It makes no difference to me. That's your life. People can do what they want. But other people get really offended if you are not the right religion to them sometimes, which is not a place you want to be in as a vlogger. but I would consider myself agnostic, which is basically I don't know if there's anything out there. There's no way to prove it. I just don't know, and it's pointless for me to make a decision one way or the other. But I would very much like for there to be something, because I don't want to die and disappear from existence forever. I like life. I very much like living. I haven't always, but I do now. Sometimes when I think about that, I don't know if anyone else has this problem. I'm sure some of you do watching. So for everyone else who doesn't have that issue, you're probably just like, Rachel, you're being really weird and depressing right now. But that's okay. For those of you who do have the same issue and sometimes you worry about that, like when that happens to me, I take my hand and I touch something in real life here, and I just feel it, and I'm like, okay, this is real life. I'm existing right now. I'm here in the world. I should enjoy the world where I am right now. And I don't know why, but that just makes me calm down and feel a lot better. This is a really weird thing for me to say. I'm probably gonna weird out a bunch of people. You can make fun of me if you want. I don't care. This is genuinely something I do when I get afraid of dying or think about death or disappearing from existence. I touch the real world, and then, or, you know, go outside and like smell it and feel it and be like, okay, I'm alive right now. Like, this is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Being able to just touch anything and exist is beautiful. I feel really weird saying that. I don't feel self-conscious about very many things at all, honestly. Especially as I get older, I don't care as much what people think anymore. But I haven't heard anyone saying that before. That does sound kind of weird, so I acknowledge that. I may just be a little weird there, but it's true. That's who I am. That's one of my secrets. Just touching real life. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you touch. When you worry about disappearing, you just touch it, and it feels beautiful and amazing no matter what it is. I really appreciate life and being able to live. So that was a whole conversation about video games that somehow got turned into death. That's alright. I hope you enjoyed this conversation today about my history with video games and death. Oh, okay. You can blame the caffeine if you want, but that's just me too. Sometimes I think about really strange or weird things. I think about really strange and weird things a lot, honestly. I'm sure I will have many other videos with strange and weird thoughts coming too. But I could keep talking, but there's 1 minute left on. That's why I keep looking over here. I'm not looking at myself, by the way. I know sometimes people are like, stop looking at yourself. I'm looking at the timer left on my camera. There's 58 seconds, so I'll just go ahead and end this video here. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.